So you want to make videos, you want to start vlogging, maybe you want to get into photography and making videos. I'm going to talk about a camera that I've owned for a year and a half. It's a camera that I love. I still use it all the time. I'm using it right now to make this video. It's been out for a while, but it just serves my purpose, and I think it serves the purpose of a lot of people out there, and that's why it's still a very big seller. It's the Canon M50, and I think an evidence of this is that the price hasn't changed since I bought this a year and a half ago. It was $599 with the kit lens, and it's still $599 with the kit lens. There's been no discounts. It's never on sale. It's just a steady price because this is a perfect sweet spot, it seems. It delivers photographically. With video, it doesn't do everything that some of the newer or more expensive cameras do, but it does enough that you get some really quality images with it. And it's portable, it's easy to use. It's just a great little camera. So today, I think this is still the best vlogging camera out there in 2020. So let's talk about it. It's April 2020, and we are right in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. So I'm actually shooting in my bedroom, which I don't normally do, but the house is filled, everybody's home, and I'm trying to find a quiet spot to make the video today. So if you're new to this channel and you're looking Disney image makers, what is this guy, if you look back through our videos, we are two photographers who actually got started, with social media and all of this, shooting the Disney parks. We have a couple of books out. So we've always been involved in shooting that kind of stuff. But we are photographers at heart, and we shoot everything from portraits to parties to landscapes, whatever it is. And we like to talk about gear. So YouTube has been a great place for us to kind of teach what we know, talk about the gear we like and use, and just give you our opinions and little techniques and tips that we've come across over the years, in our photography. When we started the YouTube channel, we needed cameras. We both realized that the DSLRs we were using, especially mine, I have a Nikon D750, is just horrible for doing these type of videos. The autofocus was terrible. It wasn't not a good camera for that. So before I get into this video and talk to you about, am I switching cameras? What am I doing? Let's just enjoy Nikon's autofocus for video. Isn't it lovely? Isn't this great? So what we ended up doing is we were searching on videos just like this. What's the best vlogging camera in 2018? And the Canon M50 constantly came up as a good camera. So we looked at it. Now I was shooting Nikon, and the other half of this channel, Eric, has been a Canon shooter all along. So I thought, okay, let's get this camera. And with adapters like this one here, I could use some of his lenses, maybe get some lenses that were native to the M50, and that's exactly what we did. I had this adapter here. I bought a Viltrox speed booster so I could use his full frame lenses at their native focal lengths, and off we went with this camera. And it's been perfect for this. So I was curious, in 2020 now, is this still a good option for people, or are there other things out there? I like that Canon still makes this camera exactly the same way it has. They haven't really updated it too much, which may or may not be a good thing because the price has been stable over the last year and a half. So it's $599, and it comes with the kit lens for that, which is right here. And this is a great little lens. I've done videos about this lens in particular and some of the other lenses we have, and I'll put links to them in different parts of this video so you can check them out. And we have a playlist on the M50, so if you're curious about this and you want to see all different aspects of it and what we've done with it over the years, you can check that out. I'm actually shooting with the 22mm M mount lens, which is a $200 lens that I'm using here because I want to get that shallow depth of field. If you look behind me, you can see the background's kind of out of focus. You're not really sure what's back there. There's like a exercise machine, some pictures on the wall, but I'm in sharp focus, and that separation is what this is really about. And as you can see, I'm looking over at the flip out screen, which is super important. And it seems like camera manufacturers just don't want to do this design for some reason. I've looked at Sony's, I've looked at, all these other different cameras. Nikon refuses to still put out a flip out screen. They have these tilting screens and ones that flip up, flip down. And it's frustrating that you just can't find exactly what you want in a camera. And this M50 really hits a sweet spot for just about everything. Now, I have used this for photography over the last year and a half, and as you can see from these images, this camera is really good for photos. So if you're a photographer looking to get into video like we were, or if you're a videographer who's looking for a good little camera, but you also want to take pictures with it, this is not going to disappoint you in any way. A lot of these images were taken with the kit lens. They were shot with some of the L lenses that you can adapt from Canon. So if you happen to have some good Canon lenses, you can use them. You know, it's a great camera system to buy into because you have access to so many different choices when it comes to lenses. And forget about that, just there's third-party lenses also. I recently went on a cruise when I took this 56mm Sigma lens, which is a 1.4 lens, which is kind of an 85mm equivalent. And that was a great lens and well-built lens. And they have a 16mm, a 30mm, and a 56mm, which is a 24, 50, and 85mm equivalent that you can buy for the M50 now, natively mounted. You don't need to use adapters or anything. And those really open up a world of creativity to you because they're all 1.4 aperture lenses. So now you may have looked online and you see that the Sony A6600 and that whole line of Sony cameras are very good. I mean, they're great. They are great video cameras. They're great for photography, but they are more money than this camera. And there's always, you have to work around their screens and the way things are set up on them. There are little adapters you can use to move the hot shoe off to the side so you can mount a microphone where the M50 has it right on top. You know, it's not an easy situation. So if you don't mind that kind of stuff and you want to buy into a Sony system, you know, those are really great cameras, but they're going to cost you more than this. And so it's a trade-off of what you really want versus, you know, how much you want to spend for it. Now, the Sony cameras have in-body stabilization. The A6600 does. I think the A65, I'm not sure how far back in the line it goes with that. That is a huge feature for video. And if you're going to be vlogging or holding your camera filmmaking and you don't want to use a gimbal, that'll definitely smooth out your video and really add something to it. So that might be worth it for you if you're going to be shooting not yourself, you're going to be shooting, you know, what's in front of you and using the screen that way. Then maybe a camera like that might be worth the extra $400, $500, $600, $700 depending on which model you get. But you can also buy a gimbal to use with a camera like this that you'll have, and you know you can move from camera to camera and you'll have that gimbal. You know, so there's different ways to work around that issue with the M50. The M50 has digital stabilization, which is not fantastic. Here's a video clip of me walking around with it in Brooklyn not long ago, and you could see it's a little bouncy, but it's not horrible. If you stand and hold the camera out in front of you, it's fine. I mean, it's, you know, there's a little bit of movement, but you know, I guess that's to be expected. When I vlog with this camera, it's nice and small. It's not too heavy. I use this switch pod. I've had this for a couple of months. It's great. Super sturdy, stable, easy to use. I like it better than a Gorilla Pod, personally. I just put my own little tripod ball head on top that I had laying around, and I use this. And with the M50, it's a perfect setup. And the video clip I just showed you was shot with the Canon 11 to 22 millimeter lens on the M50. It gives you a nice wide field of view. You don't have to stick your arm out too far. So it's a nice combination for vlogging if that's what you want to do. If you're going to be doing a talking head video like this, then, you know, any of these lenses will work. And you know, you use different focal lengths and depending on the light, like here I'm using an f2 22 millimeter lens because it's a little dark out, it's a rainy day today. And you know, I wanted to get as much light into the camera as I could and keep my ISO low. So, you know, there's a lot of options with this camera. You really have to decide what your budget is, and is this going to be your main camera, your everything camera, and then go look at the lenses that are available for it natively and then what you can adapt to it. And start seeing the costs that are going to mount to get what you want, because this system has proved to be very affordable for me if you're going to buy the M mount lenses compared to maybe buying into a system where you have to adapt more expensive lenses, or you know, maybe some of the camera already starts out at well over $1,000 and then you have to start adding expensive lenses to it. So that's a big thing if budget is an issue for you. So for me, I look around all the time. I'm sitting at home right now, as I'm sure most of us are, You go online, you're shopping for whatever it is you want to. You have nothing to do, so you go on B&H Photo and maybe Amazon. You're reading reviews, and this person says this and this person says that. And I'm just going to tell you, as a experienced photographer, with years of experience with pro level photography gear, photographically, this thing exceeded my expectations 100%. It is better than I ever thought it would be, and that's with using the kit lens that comes with it. I have no problem using this camera. I really like it. It's not a pro level DSLR. There are limitations with the ISO and things like that, but for what it is at its price point, it's really a good camera for photography. Now, I'm not a videographer, so I'm not well versed in the world of video. I needed something that I could get going with quickly, that gave me great autofocus, which this does, easy to learn and use. And I have to say, the Canon menu systems are super easy to use. I'm coming from Nikon, which is, if you've ever used a Nikon camera, it's completely different than Canon's system. Nikon's system works vertically. Canon's go side to side with their menu systems, and this was very easy to learn. The touch screen is intuitive. It works perfectly. And the fact that I can look over here right now, see exactly what's going on. I have all my settings on the screen. It's just, it's a perfect setup. So it's really easy to use. I can mount any microphone I want right on the top. I don't have to buy any adapters. I don't have to mount it in any special cage or do anything differently. It's just boom, right on top, and I'm good to go. And I can still use the viewfinder and do whatever I want with the screen. I can articulate it back and forth, up, down, any way I want to use it. So that has made this very easy for me to learn video and get into video shooting and doing these talking head videos. I don't have to worry about focus. I know if it's going to track my face, and I'm good to go. So as you can see, this is what it looks like to me. You can see the little box around my face. No matter where I move, it follows me. I have all my settings there. I can control my ISO. I have it in auto ISO, by the way. And it's very simple to use, and I can see exactly what's going on. So this kind of setup is just perfect for me. And when I'm vlogging and holding the camera in my hand, I can frame myself up. Let me shut this off. When I was using my Nikon camera, I didn't have the screen. I would constantly have to shoot a little video, go back around and see if my head, I would get videos that looked like this, or I'd be too low in the shot. So the fact that I can just quickly do this, I can't emphasize how important that is. And when you're walking and holding the camera, even more so, unless you have a super wide lens. If you're shooting with this 11 to 22 and the field of view is very, very wide, then you can kind of, guess, I suppose. But I don't need to with this. I always know exactly where my shot's framed. So the build quality of this camera is great. It feels good in the hand. It feels like a DSLR, only smaller. For photography, it's great. The electronic viewfinder, I've gotten used to it. I don't love it. It's a little bit different for me. But from what I understand, the viewfinder in the Canon M50 is not as good as more expensive mirrorless cameras. Now, I've used Eric's Canon R, which has a better viewfinder. It still has an electronic look to it, but the fact that you have live exposure is great. I love being able to see what my exposure is in the viewfinder. I can make adjustments and it adjusts it live, live. And I coming from a DSLR, that's like, whoa, it's crazy. You can, and I know a lot of people, this is becoming commonplace in, the mirrorless world. A lot of people are switching over, but I still use a DSLR for my photography. And, you have to constantly check your shot and make sure that your exposure is the way you want and looking at the back of the camera. So to see it live is a great thing for photography. So even though the viewfinder is not spectacular, it's still good enough, I would say. And the touchscreen is responsive, so you can make adjustments to your focus points while you have the camera up to your eye. So it's a nice little system. And one of the main things that I really like about the Canon M50, and probably most mirrorless cameras in this price point and size, is the size. How small they are, how compact everything is. The setup that I have here now with the 22mm on the camera, without the microphone on it, I could put that in a jacket pocket, and I have a powerful video and photography camera with me at all times. My DSLR required a bag or something to bring with me, or it's a big strap hanging off me. So the portability of a system like this is really phenomenal. So I love that. And even if you're going to be shooting video, something like this switch pod is so thin that, you know, this can slip into, if you have an inside pocket of a jacket, or even, you know, if you have a, you know, maybe a bag with you or a small backpack or something, you know, you could take everything you need. You could throw 3 or 4 lenses, this, a microphone, and the camera in a small backpack and be fine. And it's a very easy way to travel rather than carrying a big camera bag around with you. So the size and the portability and the weight of all the lenses is much lighter than a DSLR system. So for that, it's phenomenal. So I think this is still a really great camera in 2020. And it's something that if you're getting into video, you want to get into YouTubing, you're interested in photography, or you're a photographer getting into YouTube, or any combination of the two, you can get one camera system that will let you do everything. And at a fair price point, $599, and you can get going the next day with this thing. I definitely recommend a microphone. I'll shut the microphone off here for a second. So this is what the M50 sounds like without the microphone plugged in. Now, if you think this is good enough for you, if you're doing these type of indoor talking head videos, it's fine. But if you're going to be shooting outdoors, you want to get a microphone with a windscreen on it for sure. So, like I said, any microphone will fit on top of the camera. So right now I'm using a Rode microphone that's a little bit bigger for doing this type of video. But when I go out, I put this little guy on. It's the Rode Video Micro. Okay, and this is around 50 bucks, and it gives you very decent audio at an inexpensive price. And you can use it, you know, in the wind and everything. This windscreen works great. So it's this is a worthwhile investment. So there's my 2 cents on what I think is a really good option still in 2020 to do vlogging and these types of YouTube videos. All right, so I'll put some links to some of the stuff I talk about underneath. The playlist is going to be at the end here. I'm going to put it over here. I'll put one playlist over here. This is the Canon M50 playlist, and maybe I'll put one of the other videos where we talk about some of the features of the camera over here. And we also have an actual playlist with 20 or 30 videos in it just about this camera. So if you want to, you know, really learn about it, and you know the way we use it and the way you can use it, and some of the quality images you can get out of it, you can check that out. Okay, see you in the next video.